The first bullet shattered the windshield at 11:47 p.m., spiderwebbing the glass like frozen lightning. Maya Chen pressed the accelerator to the floor, her stolen Mercedes screaming through the narrow streets of Prague's old town. Blood trickled from a cut above her left eyebrow, mixing with rain that poured through the damaged window. She had exactly 17 minutes before her cover was blown completely. The ancient cobblestones blurred beneath her tires as she took a sharp right into Wenceslas Square. The Baroque facades of centuries-old buildings watched like silent witnesses. To her desperation, Maya's hands trembled against the steering wheel, not from fear, but from the morphine withdrawal that had been clawing at her system for 3 days. The stolen briefcase in her passenger seat contained enough classified intelligence to topple 3 governments, and she was the only person alive who knew how to decode it. Behind her, the headlights of 2 black SUVs cut through the storm like predators' eyes. Maya yanked the wheel left into a service alley barely wide enough for the Mercedes. The side mirrors scraped against brick walls, sending sparks cascading into the darkness. Her phone buzzed with an encrypted message that made her blood freeze. "Your sister is alive. Room 347, St. Vincent Medical Center, Boston. You have 72 hours." The message vanished after 5 seconds, but the words burned themselves into her memory. Lila was supposed to be dead. Maya had watched the explosion that consumed their family's safe house in Beirut 2 years ago. She had held fragments of her little sister's favorite necklace in her shaking hands. The alley dead-ended into a construction site. Maya slammed the brakes, and the Mercedes skidded to a violent stop against a pile of steel beams. Steam hissed from the destroyed engine. The SUV's engines growled closer, their occupants no doubt armed with weapons that would make her death quick and efficient. She grabbed the briefcase and ran. The construction site sprawled across what had once been a Gothic cathedral, now reduced. 2 skeletal arches reaching toward the storm clouds like broken prayers. Maya's heels sank into mud mixed with centuries of rubble. Rain hammered against her face as she climbed scaffolding with the desperate agility of someone who had learned to survive in places where others died. At the top of the highest platform, she found him. He sat cross-legged in the rain, completely still, as if meditating in the eye of a hurricane. Water streamed down his sharp features and soaked through his expensive black suit, but he seemed utterly indifferent to the storm. His dark hair was slicked back, revealing a face that belonged in Renaissance paintings. "Beautiful and dangerous in equal measure. You're late," he said without opening his eyes. Maya raised the Glock she had pulled from her ankle holster.
"Oh."
"Who the hell are you?" Now he looked at her, and his eyes were the color of winter oceans. "Someone who can get you out of Prague alive, though I have to say your technique needs work. 3 men are dead downstairs, and you still led them straight to me." "I didn't lead anyone anywhere." "I'm running from the same people who want you dead." A smile played at the corners of his mouth. "I doubt that very much. My name is Adrian Blackwood, and I've been waiting for you to steal that briefcase for 6 months. The sound of boots on metal scaffolding echoed from below. Maya's pulse hammered in her throat. "You set me up. I gave you an opportunity. What you chose to do with it was entirely your decision." Adrian stood with fluid grace rain cascading from his suit like he was emerging from dark water. "The men climbing toward us work for Viktor Kozlov. I assume you know that name?" Maya's stomach clenched. Kozlov was the arms dealer who had ordered her family's execution. The man whose organization she had spent 2 years infiltrating, one bloody mission at a time until she could get close enough to steal his most guarded secrets. "The briefcase contains more than intelligence," Adrian continued, stepping closer. "It contains proof that Kozlov has been selling nuclear materials to terrorist cells across Europe. Proof that 3 governments have been helping him do it. How do you know what's in the case? Because I put half of those documents there myself." The admission hit Maya like a physical blow. "You work for him." "I worked for everyone at one point or another. It's remarkable how much information people will share with someone they think is on their side." Adrian's eyes never left hers, even as the footsteps grew closer. "But I've recently decided that some secrets are too dangerous to keep." Three men in tactical gear burst onto the platform, automatic weapons trained on Maya and Adrian. The lead gunman, a scarred bull of a man Maya recognized as one of Kozlov's lieutenants, smiled with teeth like broken glass. "Maya Chen," he said. In heavily accented English, "You have caused us considerable trouble." "I live to please," Maya replied, not lowering her weapon. The lieutenant's eyes shifted to Adrian. "And you, Mr. Blackwood. Victor sends his regards, along with a bullet for your treacherous heart." "How dramatic," Adrian murmured. "Tell me, Dmitri, does Victor know that you've been selling his weapons to the Russians? Or should I save that revelation for his funeral?" Dmitri's face darkened. "You think you are clever, but you are both dead. The woman's sister will join her shortly." Maya's world went white-hot with rage. Glock bucked in her hands twice and two men dropped to the platform, their blood mixing with rainwater. But Dmitri's weapon was already tracking toward Adrian. Time slowed to crystal clarity. Maya saw the muzzle flash, saw Adrian's body jerk as the bullet found him. She saw her own hand moving, almost without conscious thought, to shove Adrian backward off the platform. He fell 30 feet into darkness, his body striking scaffolding before disappearing into the shadows below. Dmitri turned his weapon back. "To Maya, now you die." Maya smiled, and the expression was sharp enough to cut glass. "Actually, I don't think so." She pulled the pin from the grenade she had taken from one of the dead men and let it roll across the platform. Dmitri's eyes went wide with understanding just before Maya threw herself over the edge. The explosion lit up the Prague night like a dying star. Maya hit the muddy ground hard, pain shooting through her ribs as debris rained down around her. Through the ringing in her ears, she heard sirens approaching from every direction. She crawled through the rubble, searching desperately for any sign of Adrian. The briefcase lay forgotten in the mud as she followed a trail of blood to where he had landed behind a concrete barrier. He was conscious but pale, one hand pressed against a spreading dark stain on his shirt. His winter ocean eyes found hers in the glow of distant streetlights. "The sister story," he gasped. "It's true, Kozlov has her. But Maya, listen to me. Carefully. Getting her back will require you to trust someone who has been lying to you since the moment we met." "What are you talking about?" Adrian's hand closed around her wrist with surprising strength. "I'm not who you think I am, and neither are you." Police cars screamed into the square, their headlights cutting through smoke and rain. Maya had seconds to decide whether to run or stay with a man who claimed to hold the key to her sister's life. "Who are you really?" she whispered. Adrian's grip tightened, and when he spoke, his voice carried the weight of secrets that could reshape her entire world. "I'm the man Victor Kozlov hired to kill your family 2 years ago." Maya's world collapsed into a single moment of perfect clarity. The sirens faded. The rain stopped mattering. Even the pain from her cracked ribs became distant background. Noise compared to the roaring in her ears. The man whose life she had just saved had murdered her family. Her hand moved to the knife strapped to her thigh. Muscle memory from 2 years of surviving in shadows, where hesitation meant death. But Adrian's eyes held hers with an intensity that made her pause. "Before you cut my throat," he said quietly, blood seeping between his fingers. "Let me tell you why your sister is still breathing." Police boots splashed through puddles 50 yards away. Flashlight beams swept across the construction site like lighthouse signals searching for shipwrecks. Maya had perhaps 30 seconds before they were discovered. "Talk fast," she whispered, the blade already in her hand. "I was supposed to kill your entire family in Beirut." Victor's orders were specific. Parents, both daughters, no survivors. Adrian struggled to sit up against the concrete barrier, his face gray with blood loss. "But when I saw the photos, when I saw Leela, I couldn't do it. She looked so much like my own sister at that age. So you killed my parents and let us live out of the goodness of your heart?" "I didn't kill anyone in Beirut." Adrian's voice was barely audible above the approaching sirens. "I staged the explosion. Yes. Made it look real. But your parents were already dead when I arrived. Someone else got there first." Maya's knife hand wavered. "You're lying. Your father was shot once in the back of the head. Your mother was strangled, probably while trying to protect something or someone." Adrian met her eyes. I found Lila hiding in a closet, scared out of her mind. She had been there for hours. The truth hit Maya like ice water. Her parents had been dead when the house exploded, which meant someone else had wanted them eliminated before Adrian could complete his mission. I got Lila out before detonating. The charges, Adrian continued, gave her a new identity, placed her with a family in Boston who specialize in protecting children whose lives are in danger. She's been safe for 2 years. And why is she in a medical center? Adrian's expression darkened. Because Victor found out I betrayed him 3 days ago. His people took her from her foster family. They're using her as leverage to force you back into the open. Red and blue lights began painting the ruins around them in alternating waves of color. Maya heard voices shouting orders in Czech, getting closer with each passing second. Her mind raced through possibilities, each one leading to the same impossible conclusion. "You want me to trust you?" she said. "The man who was hired to murder my family?" "I want you to use me," Adrian corrected. "I have resources Victor doesn't know. About safe houses, weapons, contacts, in places where shadows have shadows. But more importantly, I know how he thinks, how he operates. Getting Leela back alive will require someone who understands the darkness he lives in." Maya heard footsteps on the other side of the barrier. Decision time. She made her choice. Grabbing Adrian under his uninjured arm, she hauled him to his feet. "There's a service tunnel that runs under this district. Can you walk? I can run if necessary." They moved through the ruins like ghosts, staying low behind collapsed walls and piles of debris. Maya's training took over, body navigating the treacherous terrain while her mind processed the impossible situation she found herself in. Trusting the man who was supposed to kill her family, working with someone whose entire existence was built on deception, depending on a stranger to help save the only person she had left to love. The tunnel entrance lay hidden beneath a tarp behind the construction site's equipment shed. Maya pulled the heavy cover aside and descended into darkness that smelled of old water and older secrets. Adrian followed, moving more slowly but without complaint. Underground Prague became a different city entirely. The tunnel system dated back to medieval times, when merchants and nobles had needed hidden ways to move gold and information without detection. Now it served a different kind of currency. Maya led them through passages lit only by her phone's flashlight, the narrow beam revealing ancient stone walls that wept moisture like tears. Their footsteps echoed in the confined space, each sound seeming to carry farther than it should. "Tell me about the briefcase," Adrian said as they walked. "What did you see when you opened it?"
"I didn't open it."
Maya glanced back at him. "Opening it would have triggered a data destruction protocol. But I know it contains Victor's client list, shipping manifests, and financial records going back 5 years. It contains something else, something Victor doesn't know I copied before." Placing it in his vault, Adrian paused, leaning against the wall to catch his breath. Bank account numbers for 3 senators, 2 cabinet members, and a Supreme Court justice. Americans who have been receiving payments in exchange for classified defense information. Maya stopped walking. "You're talking about treason at the highest levels? I'm talking about a conspiracy that reaches into the heart of the American government." Victor wasn't just selling weapons, he was buying influence. The nuclear materials were just the opening act. They emerged from the tunnels in a district of Prague that Maya didn't recognize. Narrow streets wound between buildings that seemed to lean on each other for support, their facades darkened by centuries of weather and shadow. Adrian led her to an unmarked door wedged between a closed bookshop and a cafe that looked like it hadn't served customers since the Cold War. Inside, the space defied expectations. What appeared to be a cramped apartment from the street opened into a sophisticated operations center. Multiple computer screens cast blue light across workstations equipped with communication devices. Maya recognized as military grade. Maps of major cities covered one wall, marked with pins and notations in a dozen different languages. "Welcome to my office," Adrian said, settling into a chair and pulling medical supplies from a desk drawer. "It's not much to look at, but it keeps me connected to people who prefer to remain invisible." Maya studied the maps while Adrian treated his gunshot wound. Prague, Berlin, London, Moscow, New York, Boston. Each location marked with different colored pins, some clustered in patterns that suggested ongoing operations. "How long have you been planning this?" she asked. "Which part? Stealing Victor's secrets, saving your sister, or convincing you not to kill me?" Adrian winced as he cleaned the bullet wound. "The truth is, I've been planning my exit from this life for longer than you might imagine. Victor just gave me the perfect motivation to accelerate the timeline by threatening a child. By threatening the wrong child." Adrian's voice carried an edge that made Maya turn from the maps. "I told you that Lila reminded me of my own sister. What I didn't mention is that Victor killed her when she was 9 years old, used her as leverage against my parents, then disposed of her when she was no longer useful." The admission hung in the air between them like a loaded weapon. Maya saw something raw and unguarded in Adrian's expression, a glimpse of the man beneath the carefully constructed facade. "How old were you? 14? Old enough to understand what I was seeing, too young to stop it?" Adrian finished bandaging his shoulder and met her eyes. "Victor recruited me afterward, said I could either serve him or join my family in the ground. I chose survival, and spent the next 20 years working for the man who murdered your sister. I spent the next 20 years learning everything about him, his habits, his fears, his weaknesses, his entire operation." Adrian stood, moving. "To one of the computer terminals, information is the only currency that matters in our world. I've been collecting it piece by piece until I had enough to destroy him completely." The screen came to life, displaying a complex network of connections. Names, photos, locations, all linked by lines that painted a picture of corruption spanning continents. "This is Victor's entire organization," Adrian explained. "Everyone who works for him, everyone who owes him money, everyone who has ever made a deal with him, including the people who actually killed your parents." Maya leaned closer to the screen. One section of the network showed a cluster of names she didn't recognize, connected to a location in Beirut. "The kill team was hired by someone else," Adrian continued. "Someone who wanted your family dead before Victor's people could get to them. Someone who knew about the contract and decided to move first." "Who?" Adrian clicked on one of the names, and a photograph appeared on the screen. Maya's. Blood turned to ice water. The man staring back at her was someone she had trusted completely for the past 2 years. Someone who had helped her track down Victor's organization, who would provide information and resources for her revenge mission. Someone who had consoled her about her family's death while knowing he had ordered their execution himself.
Ice.
"Webb," Adrian said quietly. "Your CIA handler is a man who has been guiding your quest for vengeance while ensuring you never get close enough to learn the truth." Maya's phone buzzed with an encrypted message. Her hands shook as she read the words that changed everything. "Maya, this is Marcus. I know where you are. I know who you're with. You have 1 hour to deliver the briefcase to the coordinates I'm sending, or your sister dies. Come alone. Trust no one." Outside, thunder rolled across Prague like the sound of worlds colliding. Maya stared at the message, then at Adrian, then at the network of lies displayed on the computer screen. Everyone she had trusted had betrayed her. Everyone except the man who was supposed to be her enemy. "He's watching us," she whispered. Adrian nodded grimly. "He's been watching you for 2 years. But now we have something he doesn't expect." "What's that?" Adrian smiled, and for the first time the expression reached his eyes. Each other. The coordinates Marcus had sent led to the Charles Bridge, where Gothic statues stood sentinel over the Vltava River like stone guardians of ancient secrets. Maya crouched on a rooftop overlooking the bridge, rain soaking through her tactical gear as she studied the scene below through high-powered binoculars. Adrian lay beside her, close enough that she could feel the warmth radiating from his body despite the storm. His shoulder was properly bandaged now, though she could see pain etched in the tight lines around his eyes. 3 snipers, he murmured, pointing to barely visible positions on surrounding buildings. 2 on the north side, 1 south. Marcus. Brought friends. He always was thorough. Maya adjusted the focus on her binoculars. Their center of the bridge, that's him. Marcus Webb stood alone between two towering statues, his silver hair whipped by wind that seemed to cut right through his expensive overcoat. Even from a distance, Maya could see the confident posture of a man who believed he controlled every variable in the equation. He had no idea how wrong he was. "The briefcase is in position," Adrian said, checking his watch. "Motion sensors, pressure plates, the works. If anyone other than you approaches it, boom." They had spent the last hour converting the stolen intelligence into the perfect trap. The briefcase now sat on a bench 50 meters from Marcus, loaded with enough C4 to take out half the bridge. But the real weapons were the encrypted drives Maya carried, containing everything Adrian had collected about Victor's network, plus the evidence of Marcus's betrayal. "You sure about this plan? Because once we start, there's no going back. There was no going back the moment I chose not to kill your family." Adrian's voice was steady, but Maya caught something vulnerable in his tone. "I've been living on borrowed time for 2 years. At least now, I get to choose how the story ends." Maya turned to look at him. Rain had plastered his dark hair to his forehead, and his winter ocean eyes reflected the city lights below. Moment. She forgot about the mission, forgot about the snipers, forgot about everything except the way he was looking at her. "Why did you really save Lila?" she whispered. Adrian was quiet for so long that Maya thought he wouldn't answer. Then, he reached into his jacket and pulled out a worn photograph. It showed a young girl with dark hair and laughing eyes, maybe 9 years old, standing next to a teenage boy who looked like a younger version of Adrian. "Her name was Alina," he said. "She wanted to be a dancer, used to practice ballet in our living room until our downstairs neighbors complained about the noise." His thumb traced the edge of the photograph. "The night Victor's men came for our family. She was hiding in the same closet where I found Lila. Same position, same terrified expression." Maya felt something crack open in her chest. "Adrian, I couldn't save Alina. But when I saw Lila, it was like getting a second chance. Chance to do what I should have done when I was 14 and too scared to fight back. You were a child. There was nothing you could have done. Maybe, but I've spent 20 years believing otherwise." Adrian tucked the photograph away and checked his weapon. "Your sister represents something I thought I'd lost forever, the possibility of redemption." Through her earpiece, Maya heard Marcus's voice cut through the static. "Maya, I know you're listening. I know you're watching. And I know you're not coming alone." She keyed her mic. "Hello, Marcus. Lovely evening for a betrayal, don't you think? You have every right to be angry." "Angry?" Maya laughed, and the sound was sharp enough to shatter glass. "I'm not angry. I'm homicidal. There's a difference. Your parents were selling classified information to foreign agents. They were traitors. They were trying to expose corruption in the CIA, your corruption." Maya rose to a crouch, muscles coiled for movement. "How much did Victor pay you to eliminate potential witnesses?" A long pause. "Enough to retire comfortably. But that's not why I did it. Enlighten me. 'Cause some secrets are more important than individual lives. Your parents stumbled onto something that could have brought down the entire intelligence community. I made the hard choice to protect national security. You made the selfish choice to protect yourself." Maya moved toward the edge of the roof. "But you made one crucial mistake, Marcus. You left witnesses. Oh, your sister won't be a witness much longer." Ice flooded Maya's veins. "Where is she?" "Safe for now. But my patience has limits. You have the briefcase. I have Lila. Let's make this simple." Maya looked at Adrian, who nodded grimly. He understood what she was about to do, even if he didn't like it. "I'm coming down," she said into her mic. "But I want proof of life first. Check your phone." The video message that arrived made Maya's world tilt sideways. Lila sat in what looked like a medical facility, electrodes attached to her temples, machines monitoring her vital signs. She looked pale and fragile, but alive. "Lila has been experiencing seizures since her rescue from the foster family." Marcus's voice came through clearly. "Traumatic brain injury from the original explosion, we believe. She needs medical attention that only I can provide." Maya's heart stopped. "You're lying." The treatment is experimental and expensive, but effective, assuming she receives it. In time, bring me the briefcase, and she gets the care she needs. Refuse, and she dies from her next seizure. Adrian grabbed Maya's arm. It's a trap. Everything he's saying, all of it, I know. Maya pulled away from him. But what if he's telling the truth about her condition? Then we find another way. We don't hand over the evidence that can destroy Victor's entire network. She's my sister. She's the reason I betrayed everything I've ever known. Adrian's grip tightened. Don't let her sacrifice be meaningless. Maya stared down at the bridge, at Marcus waiting with the patience of a spider in his web. At the sniper's position, too. Cut down anyone who posed a threat to his carefully constructed narrative. At the briefcase that contained enough evidence to topple governments and save countless lives. Then she looked at Adrian. At the man who had chosen to save a stranger's sister because he couldn't save his own, who had spent 2 years planning the destruction of the organization that owned his soul, who was asking her to trust him with the most important decision of her life. There's something I haven't told you, she said. What? Maya pulled out her phone and showed him a message she had received that morning before everything went to hell in Prague. Before she met him, before she learned the truth about Marcus, before her world turned inside out. Maya, this is Lila. I'm okay. I'm safe. Don't believe anything Marcus tells you about me being sick. I'm working with people who want to help. The medical center is fake. I love you. Adrian stared at the message. When did you get this? 6 hours ago? Right after? I stole the briefcase. Maya tucked the phone away. I've been testing you this entire time, seeing if you would try to manipulate me the way Marcus did. And you passed. Maya stood, shouldering her rifle. Because you told me not to sacrifice everything for one person, even when that person means everything to you. Marcus would have encouraged me to make the emotional choice. So what's the play? Maya smiled, and Adrian realized he had never seen her look truly dangerous until that moment. We give Marcus exactly what he expects, a grieving sister willing to trade the world for her family. She keyed her mic. Marcus, I'm coming down. Just me, just the case. But I want to see Lila first, not how this works. Then it doesn't work at all. You get the briefcase. After I confirm my sister is alive and unharmed, that's not negotiable. As she descended into the maze of Prague's ancient streets, Adrian's voice crackled through her earpiece. Maya? Yeah. For what it's worth, working with you has been the most honest thing I've done in 20 years. Don't get sentimental on me now. We still have to survive the next 10 minutes. About that? Adrian's voice carried an odd note. There's one more thing you should know. The message from your sister. It wasn't sent from Boston. Maya froze on the fire escape ladder. What do you mean? It was sent from Prague. From a location less than 5 miles from where we're standing right now. The implications hit Maya like a physical blow. If Lila was in Prague, if she had been here all along, then everything Marcus had told her was not just a lie, but a carefully orchestrated performance, designed to manipulate her into a specific course of action. She's been here the whole time, Maya whispered. Which means Marcus isn't just after the briefcase, Adrian replied grimly. He's after both of you. Maya reached the street level and began moving toward the bridge, her mind racing through the implications. Marcus had brought Lila to Prague, staged the medical emergency, created an elaborate scenario to force Maya into the open. But why go to such elaborate lengths, unless there was something more at stake than just covering up past crimes? Her phone buzzed with another message. This one made her blood freeze. Maya, this is really Lila. I'm in the building across from the bridge. 3rd floor, north side. Marcus has been holding me here for 3 days. Keeps asking about something. Called the Phoenix Protocol. He thinks you know what it is? Maya had never heard of any Phoenix Protocol, but apparently someone believed she had access to information worth kidnapping her sister to obtain. Adrian, she said into her mic. Not the only ones who've been lying. Asterisk, the Phoenix Protocol changed everything. Maya crouched behind a stone pillar at the foot of Charles Bridge. her heart hammering against her ribs as the pieces of an impossible puzzle finally clicked into place. Through her scope, she could see Marcus checking his watch with the patience of a man who believed he held all the cards. He had no idea that the game had just evolved. Beyond his comprehension, "Talk to me about Phoenix," she whispered into her throat mic. Adrian's voice crackled through static laced with urgency. It's a legend. A rumor that's been circulating through intelligence networks for the past 5 years. Supposedly a protocol that can completely erase someone's digital existence, create a new identity so perfect that it's invisible to every government database on Earth. Supposedly, Maya, if Phoenix is real, if it actually exists, then whoever controls it controls the ultimate escape route. Every intelligence agent, every criminal, every person with enemies powerful enough to reach them anywhere in the world would pay anything to access it. Maya studied the building across from the bridge where Leela claimed to be held. 3rd floor, north side. The windows were dark, but she caught the faintest reflection of movement behind glass that should have been empty. "My parents," she said, understanding flooding through her like ice water. "They didn't stumble onto corruption. They found Phoenix, and Marcus killed them to keep it secret." Adrian's voice was grim, but not before they hid it somewhere. Somewhere. Only you could find. The final message from her father, delivered through channels that had taken 2 years to decode, suddenly made perfect sense. Not coordinates to a safe house or the location of hidden evidence. Instructions for accessing something far more valuable, something worth killing entire. Families to protect. Maya rose from her position and stepped into the open briefcase in hand. Immediately, 3 red laser dots painted her chest as the snipers acquired their target. She walked toward Marcus with the measured pace of someone who knew exactly what she was worth. "Maya." Marcus smiled as she approached, the expression of a predator welcoming prey into its den. "You look good. Surviving on your own suits you. Cut the small talk. Where's my sister? Safe, but perhaps not as safe as I led you to believe." Marcus gestured toward the building where Leela was supposedly being held. "She's been asking questions. Difficult questions about things she shouldn't know anything about, such as the Phoenix Protocol." Imagine my surprise when a 19-year-old girl started demanding information about one of the most classified projects in CIA history. Marcus stepped closer, and Maya could smell his expensive cologne mixed with something darker. "The thing is, Phoenix doesn't exist. At least not in any official capacity." "Then why are we talking about it? Because your parents believed they had found it? They died protecting something they thought was more valuable than their own lives. And because you're the only person alive who knows where they hid it?" Maya set the briefcase down on the bridge's stone railing. "I don't know anything about Phoenix." "You know everything about Phoenix. You just don't realize it yet." Marcus pulled out a tablet and showed her a video feed. It displayed a room that looked like a medical facility, but the equipment was wrong. Not machines for monitoring patients, but devices for extracting information from unwilling subjects. Lila sat strapped to a chair in the center of the room, electrodes attached to her temples. But she was awake, alert, and staring directly into the camera with eyes that held no fear, only determination. "Your sister is remarkable," Marcus said conversationally. 2 years in protective custody, and she spent every day learning how to defend herself. Learning how to resist interrogation. Learning how to be just like you. Maya's blood went cold. "What did you do to her?" "Nothing permanent. But the equipment in that room is designed to extract memories. Every conversation, every secret, every hidden thought can be pulled from a person's mind with enough time and the right motivation." "You're talking about torture?" "I'm talking about necessity. Phoenix is hidden somewhere in your family's past, encrypted in a way that requires both sisters to unlock it. Lila has half the key. You have the other half." Through her earpiece, Maya heard Adrian's voice, tight with controlled fury. "Maya, listen to me very carefully. The building where they're holding Lila. It's not just any building. It's the Prague station for Operation Black Site. It's a CIA facility that officially doesn't exist." "Which means what?" Maya subvocalized, knowing. Marcus couldn't hear her, which means Marcus isn't just a rogue agent trying to cover his tracks. He's running this operation with official sanction. Phoenix isn't just a legend. It's real, and the CIA wants it badly enough to authorize kidnapping and torture to get it. Maya felt the world shift around her. Not just one corrupt agent, but an entire system willing to destroy innocent lives for the promise of ultimate power. Here's how this works, Marcus continued, unaware of the conversation flowing through Maya's earpiece. You're going to tell me everything your parents told you about their work? Every code, every location, every conversation about their research. In return, your sister walks away from this alive. If I don't remember anything useful, Marcus's smile turned cold. Then we'll keep extracting memories until we find what we need from both of you. The human brain can survive the process multiple times, though the subject tends to lose significant cognitive function with each session. Maya stared at the video feed showing Leela strapped to the extraction chair. Her sister looked so young, so vulnerable, yet there was steel in her posture that reminded Maya of their mother. The same strength that had kept their family together through years of moving from safe house to safe house, always one step ahead of enemies they couldn't name. You're going to torture a 19-year-old girl for information she doesn't have? Going to do whatever is necessary to protect American interests. Your parents were brilliant, Maya. Too brilliant for their own good. They created something that could destabilize global intelligence operations if it fell into the wrong hands. Right? Or it could save the lives of every agent, every whistleblower, every person who risks everything to do the right thing. Maya's voice carried the weight of 2 years spent hunting the truth through shadows and lies. Phoenix isn't a weapon, it's freedom. Marcus's expression shifted, revealing something calculating and hungry. Freedom for criminals and traitors. People like Viktor Kozlov, who would pay billions for the ability to disappear completely. People like your friend Adrian, who could vanish without a trace after betraying everyone who ever trusted him. Through her earpiece, Maya heard Adrian's sharp intake of breath. Maya, he's right. I've done things, hurt people, destroyed lives in service to organizations that never deserved loyalty. Phoenix exists, I would use it. I would disappear. And never look back. The admission hit Maya like a physical blow. After everything they had shared, every moment of vulnerability and trust, Adrian was still planning his escape from accountability. Everyone runs eventually, Marcus continued, as if reading her thoughts. The question is whether you want to. Be responsible for giving the worst people in the world the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card. Maya looked at the briefcase containing evidence that could topple governments. At the video feed showing her sister prepared for mental dissection. At the city of Prague spread out around them like a living testament to the price of choosing sides in wars that never truly ended. There's something you don't understand about Phoenix, she said finally. Tell me. My parents didn't create it to help people disappear. They created it to make disappearing impossible. Maya opened the briefcase, revealing not the intelligence. Documents Marcus expected, but a single data drive surrounded by enough explosives to vaporize everything within 50 meters. Phoenix is a protocol for permanent digital fingerprinting. Every person who tries to use it gets tagged with an invisible marker that follows them for the rest of their lives. Marcus stepped back, his face going pale. You're lying, am I? Why do you think Victor's people could always find me, no matter how carefully I covered my tracks? Why do you think Adrian's safe houses kept getting compromised? We've both been test subjects for Phoenix for the past 2 years. The truth was, more complex than that, but Maya watched Marcus's certainty crumble as he processed the implications. If Phoenix was a trap rather than an escape route, if using it meant permanent surveillance rather than freedom, then everything he had worked for was worthless. The extraction process, he said slowly. What happens if we extract the protocol? From your memories? Then you become part of the system. Every intelligence agency in the world gains access to your location. Your activities, your contacts, forever. Maya smiled with the cold precision of someone who had learned to weaponize truth. But please, go ahead. Extract Phoenix from my mind. See what happens when you try to run a Black Ops facility while every government on Earth knows exactly where you are. Through her earpiece, Adrian's voice was barely a whisper. Maya, Is any of that true? About Phoenix being a tracking system? No idea. About Phoenix existing at all? I'm not even sure. Maya kept her eyes on Marcus while she spoke. But my parents were paranoid enough to leave me insurance. If anything happens to Lila or me, every intelligence agency in the world receives documentation about Operation Blacksite, complete with location, data, and personnel files. Marcus's hand moved toward his weapon. You're bluffing. Try me. The standoff stretched between them like a taut wire, ready to snap at the slightest pressure. Rain continued to fall on the ancient bridge, washing away footprints and blood from centuries of conflicts fought in the shadows of history. Then Maya heard something that changed everything. Lila's voice clear and strong through the tablets. Speakers, Marcus, you stupid bastard. Did you really think I spent 2 years in witness protection without learning anything useful? On the video feed, Lila had somehow freed herself from the restraints and was standing beside what appeared to be a control panel. The extraction equipment sparked and died as she systematically destroyed every piece of technology in the room. Phoenix is real, Lila continued, looking directly into the camera. But it's not what any of you think it is. It's not a way to disappear, and it's not a tracking system. Something much more dangerous. Maya felt her world tilt sideways. Lila, what are you talking about? Her sister's smile was identical to the one Maya saw in mirrors. Phoenix is a kill switch. A way to permanently crash every intelligence database in the world simultaneously. Mom and Dad weren't trying to help people disappear. They were trying to create mutually assured destruction for the spy game. Marcus grabbed the tablet, his face white with understanding. If that's true, if Phoenix can destroy all intelligence, networks simultaneously, then whoever controls it controls whether the shadow world continues to exist at all, Lila finished. And guess what, Marcus? I've had 2 years to memorize every line of code Mom and Dad left behind. The explosion came from inside the Blacksite facility. Not large enough to bring down the building, but precise enough to eliminate every piece of evidence that the operation had ever existed. Through the smoke and flames visible in the distance, Maya saw a figure rappelling down the building's exterior wall. Lila landed on the bridge 30 seconds later, shedding climbing gear with the efficiency of someone who had planned this moment down to the second. She walked toward Maya and Marcus with the measured confidence of someone who held all the power. Hello, sister, she said, pulling out a device that looked like a modified smartphone. Ready to shut down the intelligence world? Maya stared at Lila, at the device in her hands. At Marcus, reaching for his weapon with the desperation of a man who had just realized his entire life's work was about to become irrelevant. Maya said carefully, What exactly are you planning to do? Her sister's smile was beautiful and terrible. I'm going to give everyone in the shadow world exactly what they deserve. Complete and total transparency. The device in Lila's hands began to glow with soft blue light, and Maya realized that the real game was just beginning. Asterisk, the device in Lila's hands held the power to end the world as they knew it. Maya stared at her sister, recognizing something that made her blood run cold. The same obsessive determination that had driven their parents to create Phoenix in the first place, the same willingness to sacrifice everything for an ideal that might destroy more than it saved. Lila, listen to me, Maya said carefully. If you activate Phoenix, you're not just exposing corrupt agents and black ops programs. You're revealing every undercover operative, every protected witness, every person whose life depends on staying hidden. Good, Lila's thumb hovered over the device's activation switch. Let the whole rotten system burn. Everyone see what governments do in the name of national security. Marcus had gone very still, his hand frozen halfway to his weapon. Even he understood that sudden movements might trigger the end of everything. He had spent his career building and protecting. Through Maya's earpiece, Adrian's voice was tight with urgency. Maya, I'm seeing massive data transfers starting from locations all over the city. Whatever Phoenix actually is, Lila's already begun the activation sequence. On every building surrounding the bridge, Maya caught glimpses of movement. Snipers repositioning, tactical teams moving into position, helicopters approaching from multiple directions. The entire intelligence apparatus of Prague was converging on their location. How many people die when you push that button? Maya asked her. Sister, how many people have already died because of the secrets these agencies keep? Lila countered. How many children like me have lost their families because someone decided their lives were acceptable collateral damage? And how many children, like you, will lose their families when every protection program in the world gets exposed simultaneously? For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Lila's features. The device's blue glow pulsed faster, indicating that the Phoenix protocol was building toward critical activation. Marcus chose that moment to move. His hand flew to his weapon. Not to shoot Lila, but to signal the surrounding forces. Maya saw the laser designators converging on her sister's position and made a choice that would haunt her forever. She threw herself between Lila and the snipers just as the first shot rang out. The bullet meant for her sister's head punched through Maya's shoulder instead, spinning her around and sending her crashing to the bridge's stone surface. Pain exploded through her body, but she could see Lila still standing, still holding the device, still frozen between activation and mercy. Maya. Lila dropped to her knees beside her sister, the Phoenix device clattering across wet stones. Maya grabbed Lila's wrist with her good hand. Don't activate it, not like this. Not in anger. Blood soaked through Maya's jacket, spreading across ancient stones that had witnessed centuries of violence. She could hear boots pounding across the bridge as tactical teams closed in from both sides. Through her fading vision, Maya saw Adrian leap down from his position on a nearby building. He landed hard, rolled, and came up running, toward them with a rifle in his hands. The sound of gunfire erupted across the bridge as he engaged the advancing forces. Adrian, don't. Maya tried to shout, but her voice came out as barely a whisper. He couldn't hear her over the chaos, couldn't see that she was trying to protect him from making the same mistakes she had made, couldn't understand that sometimes the greatest sacrifice was choosing not to fight. Marcus stood over Maya and Lila, his weapon trained on the Phoenix device. It's over. Both of you step away from the technology. Maya, Lila's voice was broken, desperate. Tell me what to do. I can't lose you too. Maya looked at her sister, at the device that could reshape the world. At Marcus and the system he represented, at Adrian fighting desperately against impossible odds to reach them. All the pieces of a puzzle that had consumed her life for 2 years. The Phoenix Protocol, Maya whispered to Lila. It's not what any of us thought it was, is it? Lila shook her head, tears mixing with rain on her face. Mom and Dad built it as a safeguard. If the intelligence world ever became too corrupt, too dangerous, Phoenix would force a reset. Complete transparency for exactly 24 hours. Long enough for the public to see everything, but short enough that most protected people could get to safety. And then what? Then every database rebuilds itself from backup, but with new oversight protocols. Automatic checks and balances that make the old abuses impossible. Lila glanced at the device, its glow now pulsing urgently. They designed it to save the system by temporarily destroying it. Maya understood. Her parents hadn't created a weapon, or a tracking system, or an escape route. They had created evolution, a forced adaptation that would make the intelligence community accountable to the people it claimed to protect. The gunfire across the bridge was intensifying. Maya could see Adrian taking cover behind stone statuary, outnumbered but refusing. To retreat. If you activate Phoenix, promise me something. Anything? Promise me you'll use the 24 hours to help people, not to destroy them. Maya met her sister's eyes. We've seen enough destruction to last a lifetime. Lila nodded, understanding passing between them. She picked up the device, her finger, hovering over the activation switch one final time. I love you, Maya whispered. I love you too. Lila pressed the button. The world exploded into light. Every screen in Prague lit up simultaneously. Every computer, every phone, every electronic billboard began streaming classified information in a torrent that would take days to fully process. Documents, photos, audio recordings, financial transactions, all the secrets that governments had killed to protect, but it wasn't chaos. It was revelation. Maya watched Marcus's face as his own files appeared on the nearest screen. Every operation he had authorized, every life he had destroyed, every dollar he had taken in bribes, the evidence that would end his career and send him to prison for the rest of his life, around the world. The same scenes were playing out in every capital, every intelligence headquarters, every black site facility. Total exposure, but organized and contextualized in ways that protected victims while revealing perpetrators. The gunfire stopped as tactical teams received new orders through compromised communication channels. It's hard to maintain operational security when your entire command structure was being broadcast live to the world. Adrian reached them as Maya was slipping into shock from blood loss. He dropped beside her, pressing his hands against her shoulder wound with the expertise of someone who had treated battlefield injuries before. "Maya, stay with me." His voice was raw with emotion she had never heard before. "You're not dying. On this bridge, not after everything we've been through." "Adrian." Maya's voice was barely audible. "Phoenix is activated. Your files, your operations, everything you've ever done. It's all going to be public. I know. You could run. Disappear before the authorities figure out where you are." Adrian met her eyes, and Maya saw something she had never expected to find there: peace. "I'm done running," he said simply. "Done hiding. Done pretending that survival is the same thing as living." Through the chaos of Phoenix's revelation, Maya watched her sister helping evacuate civilians from the bridge as emergency services arrived. Leela moved with purpose and compassion, using her knowledge of the intelligence world to guide people away from danger rather than toward it. The Phoenix Protocol had given them exactly what their parents had intended: not destruction, but transformation; not revenge, but justice; not escape, but the courage to finally stop running. Maya felt consciousness slipping away as paramedics took over her care from Adrian. The last thing she saw was Marcus being led away in handcuffs, his career and freedom forfeit to the truth he had spent so long trying to bury. The last thing she heard was Adrian's voice, strong and certain despite the uncertain future they all faced. "Maya, I need you to know something. Working with you, trusting you, being trusted by you. It's the first real thing I've done in 20 years. She tried to respond, tried to tell him that saving Leela had been the first selfless thing she had done since her parents died, that choosing truth over vengeance had been the hardest decision of her life, that she understood now why their parents had been willing to die for Phoenix. But consciousness faded before she could form the words. Maya woke up 3 days later in a Prague hospital room that smelled of antiseptic and possibilities. Lila sat in a chair beside her bed, reading from a tablet that displayed news coverage of the Phoenix revelations. Governments were falling, intelligence agencies were being restructured, and the world was slowly adapting to a new reality where shadows couldn't hide the worst abuses of power. "Good morning, sister," Lila said without looking up from the tablet. "Ready to see what we've accomplished?" Maya tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Pain shot through her shoulder, but it was manageable, survivable, like everything else they had endured. "Where's Adrian?" "He's testifying before an international tribunal, voluntarily. He's been cooperating fully with investigators, helping them understand Victor's network and identify other operations that need to be shut down. He stayed. He stayed." Leela finally looked at her. Turns out some people can change, even after 20 years of being someone else. Through the hospital room's window, Maya could see Prague in the morning light. The same ancient city that had witnessed their desperate flight through construction sites and tunnels. It's the same bridges where they had fought for truth against impossible odds. But everything had changed. The world was different now, more transparent, more accountable, more willing to confront the darkness that had hidden in governmental shadows for too long. "What happens now?" Maya asked. Lila smiled, and Maya realized it was the first completely genuine expression she had seen on her sister's face since they were children. "Now we get to find out who we really are when we're not running from anyone or anything. We don't have to carry other people's secrets anymore." Maya nodded, understanding. They had spent their entire adult lives defined by violence, by loss, by the need to survive in a world that had tried to destroy them. they had the chance to be defined by choice instead. And Adrian said he'll wait for you to recover. Then you can decide together what comes next. Maya closed her eyes and felt something she hadn't experienced in years. Not happiness exactly, but the absence of despair. The possibility of peace. The knowledge that she had chosen love over revenge, truth over comfortable lies, and future. Overpassed outside her window, Prague continued its eternal dance between history and hope. And for the first time since her parents died, Maya Chen allowed herself to believe that tomorrow might be better than yesterday. In the end, that was enough. More than enough, it was everything. The end asterisk. Like this video if the story touched your heart. Subscribe for more emotional tales and share with someone who believes in the power of true love. And let us know in the comments. We love connecting with our global community of romance lovers.